Three names stand behind the front door of a first home. The household lives there. A bank has lent money against it. A public agency owns a share of it. The bank and the agency may both have money in the property, but they are doing different jobs. Shared equity begins with the difference between those roles. It is not simply a cheaper mortgage. The outside partner is a co-owner, so it shares in the home's future value and stays involved until its share is bought out or the home is sold. In July 2026, New Zealand First considered a proposal for the government to invest beside first home buyers. The idea sounded unusual, but New Zealand already had practical experience with this kind of ownership. The First Home Partner Scheme began in 2021. By the end of June 2026, 1,176 homes had settled through it. The scheme was fully subscribed and no longer taking new applications. Its rules do not tell us what a future political proposal would look like. They do reveal why shared ownership needs more administration than an ordinary bank loan. Take an imaginary home worth $800,000. The household brings an $80,000 deposit. A bank lends $560,000. A shared equity partner contributes $160,000. The purchase can now happen. The bank does not normally become an owner. It has a loan agreement and security over the property. The household owes a dollar amount. Interest is charged. As the loan is repaid, the debt falls. The shared equity partner owns 20% of the home. The household owns the other 80%, even though much of that share is financed by the mortgage. The owners can be recorded on the title as tenants in common, with their proportions stated. Now let time pass. If the home rises in value to $880,000, the partner's 20% share is worth $176,000. Buying it back costs more than the original $160,000. If the home falls to $720,000, the same share is worth $144,000. The partner shares that fall in value. This is the central difference between debt and equity. A lender expects the agreed debt to be repaid plus interest, whether the house price rises or falls. An equity owner holds a percentage, so the value of its share moves with the home. That can help a buyer cross the first barrier. Some households have enough income to make regular mortgage payments, but cannot borrow enough, or cannot save the deposit required for a home in their area. Shared equity closes part of that gap without turning the whole contribution into another interest-bearing loan. The help is real. So are the continuing ties. Under First Home Partner, the household was responsible for ordinary ownership costs such as mortgage payments, rates, insurance, utilities, and maintenance. The public agency was not the landlord. It was a co-owner. The household could buy the agency's share in one payment or in smaller payments of at least $1,000. The price was based on the home's value at the time of each purchase, not only on the money first contributed. The program aimed for the household to become the full owner within 15 years. Annual meetings looked at income, savings, expenses, debt, and progress towards that goal. Renovations needed approval while the agency remained a co-owner. More borrowing also needed attention because extra debt could make the final buyout harder. If the home was sold while the agency still owned 10%, the agency received 10% of the sale proceeds. The household received its share after costs and debts were dealt with. None of those rules is strange once ownership is understood. A co-owner has an interest in the condition, debt, value, and sale of the shared asset. The difficulty is emotional as well as financial. People usually speak about a first home as independence. You choose the paint. You plant a tree. You decide when to sell. Shared equity opens the door by making some of that independence incomplete for a time. A buyer becomes a homeowner, but not the only homeowner. The scheme must explain which decisions remain personal and which decisions affect the other owner's share. This creates work for the public partner. It must check eligibility before the purchase. It must examine the property. It needs a legal agreement, a record of each ownership share, a method for valuations, a process for renovations, and a fair response when a household's income or relationship changes. It may stay connected to the home for many years. An ordinary mortgage also involves careful checks. The bank examines income, debt, deposit, and the property before lending. After that, if payments arrive and the security remains sound, it usually does not need an annual conversation about the color of the kitchen or the household's plan to buy out another owner. That difference explains both the promise and the cost of shared equity. The promise is access. A household that is close to buying can cross the gap and begin building a share in a home. The cost is a long relationship. Public money is tied to one property. Staff must manage the agreement. The household carries the responsibilities of living there while also working towards complete ownership. The best test is therefore not simply how many people enter. Ask who receives help and why. Ask whether the home would have been bought without it. Ask how long public money stays in each property. Ask how gains, losses, repairs, separation, hardship, and sale are handled. Then ask how many households eventually buy the final share. Shared equity does not make an expensive house cheaper. It changes who owns the expensive house while the buyer catches up. A mortgage ends when the last dollar of debt is repaid. Shared ownership ends when the last piece of the home comes home.